education aren't matching what the legislation calls for. So I guess what I was getting out of it, one of the concerns that he expressed was we are the only municipality in Ontario with 5 fire departments. And that's not an issue for me. But what I would like to see, because fire boards aren't mandated under the fire protection legislation, I'd like when you guys sit down, because you're the experts, I think you need to be empowered to sit down with the CAO and come back to council with a report. That's what we directed. We'll handle the governance side of it. But we need to hear from you operationally. What do you need from us to do your jobs? So that we have confidence in you that everything, if we do get sued or whatever, that everything is fine. And we do live in a litigious time. So I think the other thing I'd like to see you talk about, and I hope you're very honest and candid about how you feel about what you see your roles as being with council, is this idea of a single point of accountability. When you have 5 fire departments and you have an emergency, who's the chief fire official at that point? Do you have 5? Do you have 1? Do you have... Ultimately, the mayor has to be advised what to do in an emergency, and he's got to rely on, I would think, 1. So I think this is the type of stuff, personally, I would like to see you talk about as chiefs, to say, you know, I don't know whether you rotated him in position or whether you come to consensus or whatever you do, but this is the type of stuff I think we need to talk about as a council, so that, truthfully, I think these fire boards are great. I personally don't like the council within a council. And I said that to our council. I think when you have a quorum of 5 from your council that bring the decision back, the fire truck from Forest is a perfect example. There's 4 people sitting at the table say, well, is this a done deal? And conceivably it could be. The other thing that concerns me, after this presentation, I was glad to hear it, is when I've seen equipment being put off for 2, 3, 4 years that is mandated by legislation, and yet we can seem to build recreational infrastructure without a problem, that concerns me. So I think we need to have an open, honest discussion as to how we're going to support you as a council to deliver fire services in the coming years, because I think the game is changing. He alluded to that. People are becoming far more litigious.
I agree with what you're saying, but I don't, the 2 are apples and oranges.
They are apples and oranges.
Because the recreational equipment was all done under grant money.
Oh, no. Not all done under grant money.
A lot of it's done under grant money.
$5 million we're on the hook for with Legacy ourselves. It's just like a sewage plant or anything else. So this is an essential service that is mandated, and I think we have to ensure that your needs are met.
What equipment is mandated that we aren't?
I'm not saying that, though. What I'm saying is...
You just said that.
No, I'm saying this service, hockey rinks are not mandated under legislation. Fire protection and education and suppression services are. So if I can get sued as a member of council because these guys didn't get equipment, I'm not saying they didn't, but if they didn't, and I saw the delay on capital equipment, I sat at this table for 2.5 years, I watched the delay. Now I'm concerned after Tuesday's meeting. I didn't work 36 years to lose my house. It's as simple as that.
Is that only worth 36?
Yeah, officially. Revenue Canada thinks it's 30, but that's all I'm saying. I think, you know, you guys need to support. You're the experts. I'm not an expert, and I get concerned when information's filtered up through a political body to another political body. I don't think we should politicize fire protection.
Again, that's why the information is reviewed annually, especially at budget time. We rely on the chiefs to run their department. They need to inform us as staff and council of what they require, and it's council that makes a decision in the end.
The old way, we talked to John, and John would talk to represent us, correct?
Right.
Okay, what I picked up at this meeting, this gentleman's basically saying, why have you got 2 groups? Make it into 1 group. Did I misunderstand that? Because my way of thinking, he was saying that fire chiefs come to a council meeting and give their budget and say what we need, and let's go for it. Or, you know, at least argue with everyone.
That's the thing we have this fire board.
Mm-hmm.
I was concerned is there's already a quorum on it, so it's a done deal. It's never happened that way. It's never been that way. It goes back for approval from council. Not always all 5 on the fire board agree on it anyway. So,
no.
But we have neighboring municipalities that contribute to this, and how do we get their input if we're meeting as our council and we're cause they're paying their share. How do we get that? How do we do that at our council? So whether it's a fire board or whether we set up a fire committee and whether we take two people off from Lambton Shores so that we don't have the quorum, that's just something that we have to deal with, but we have partners in this agreement, and we have to deal with that. We have to,
Well,
they don't wanna be, well, no, we're just sending you the amount on the budget,
Dave,
so, yeah.
can you, Dave?
I better let it go for a minute, cause I got too much on my head right now. If I was supposed to, a couple things, just, I guess, in regards to, Doug. The OFN did come in 2008 and do a municipal fire protection information survey, where they did do a risk assessment on this. Every year, I sign off on my area, the risks, so if there's any changes to the risk assessment as far as vulnerable occupancies and all that, I review that every year with the fire marshal. So there has been a survey done on our municipality in 2008, and it is out there.
Sorry, that was maybe my fault for not bringing that forward. I found that after the fact, after he fire marshal's office mentioned that. I did find it in the records and we found where it was updated or signed off through the reviews.
And I'm sure Jim and
Yeah, I have a copy.
yeah,
of
Nellie, or whoever,
We've had a change.
our advisor, every year we have to sign off on that, you know, it includes our fire prevention, and the municipality did get a certificate that we were in compliance with the Fire Protection and Prevention Act. And that is reviewed through this simplified risk assessment every year after.
with each department.
Yes.
See, I guess my concern is I have a security contract with ADT, I don't sit on the board.
Well,
And so I think South Huron has a different ballgame, they have capital investment, up in Grand Bend and equipment.
North Middlesex, actually.
North, sorry, I was thinking about France. South Huron is an exception to the rule, the others don't. They contract for a service. And however we structure it, that's our job as council to look at the governance of it. And you want to talk to your service providers. My concern is after Tuesday, knowing we live in the society we live in, that you guys are empowered to tell us directly at council, this is what we need in order to comply with fire protection requirements in Ontario. That's my only concern.
I can't agree with you more. And I think what you had before was it's not supposed to be a political thing for us, and we're supposed to deal directly. John's supposed to be the conduit. John's not supposed to, or I use that, the CAO isn't supposed to advise. We're supposed to work through him to get where we're at. I think all of you have sat with, I've had a little bit of a hard time for 5 or 6 years pushing agendas and trying to improve stuff. That's not the way it works. And I agree 100% with you. And as far as the fire board, and I buy natural gas, I don't sit on the union gas board, and like you say, it just adds another layer of bureaucracy, and that's why the OFM does not like fire boards. Because it cuts us off at the knees.
They made that very clear.
And I think there might have been an issue of who actually was responsible for fire protection, fire services. I've been quite clear, I know who is. But it just never made it
Well,
anywhere.
council, looking forward to your discussion. Very good.
So I guess as that goes, as it moves forward, obviously the formula of this board will more than likely change as we move forward. Janet is will be meeting with the chiefs and bringing back recommendations to the board, or to the council, whether it's, how would you figure out where we're gonna move forward with it, and we'll probably, as a council, decide on what the makeup of the board would be. And as Bill said, whether we have to drop a couple of people off it because we don't have quorum. So let's make it a committee of council or whatever it would have to be.
Whether we change the word from board to committee,
We're already a committee of council, which is what the fire board recommended that we have to be.
yeah.
Well, this is already a committee of council, except for we have outside councils that sit on our fire board as such.
Board, it really is a committee,
The
and
committee,
we're establishing committees all over the place, and maybe we should all become just a council.